Assalamu alaikum students. I'm a teacher from Ilm Online Academy. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the standard form. That is a very important topic in IGCSE. Basically, if we are going to talk about the standard form, sometimes we need to deal with some very large numbers, or sometimes we need to deal with very small numbers. For example, if I have a number like in this way, and we don't know that how many zeros are there. We need to count them to know that what kind of number is this. So for these kind of numbers, when we no need to find out like how many zeros are there or how many numbers are there, we can convert these big numbers into a number, into a form that is basically called the standard form, that is easily readable, and we can easily detect that how many zeros are there if we have a number some kind of like this. Similarly, if we have very small numbers, like we have 0.0000 something, like in this way, this is very, very, very small number. So even if we have a very small number, that can be also converted into the standard form, just to know that basically what kind of number is this. So standard form makes us easier, and like how to read a number, a very large number or even a very small number. So for the standard form, we basically use this form, that is a multiplying 10 raised to the power n. A over here can be any number in between 1 to 10. Basically, this is the range. And from 1 to 10, 10 is not being included. If you can check the sign, this is 1 greater than and equals to, and 10 less than. It means that only the numbers have been included as 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 9. Okay, so the numbers at the place of A can be in between these, and at the place of n, we can have some integers like either positive or either negative. If we have written a number in this form, so that is basically called the standard form. Okay, writing a number in this form in the power of 10, and along with that, if an integer is being multiplied, so that is basically called a standard form. So again, writing a number in standard form is basically going to make your number a bit easier to read, and that for some calculations in which we need to deal with some larger numbers or with very small number, it will be easier. Okay, so let's start exercise 1.7a. In this exercise, we will see that how to write simple numbers in standard form. So we will start by making the number into standard form, starting with the very small numbers and then moving towards the very small large numbers. Okay, so the first one is 4,000. If we want to write down the number 4,000 into a standard form, so let's see how we can write. The work is really easy, that how we need to write that into the standard form. First of all, as I told you, that the standard form is in this way: a times 10 raised to the power n, and a must be in between 1 to 10. 10 will not be included and 1 will be included. So the number that is a very starting number, or you can say the first significant figure that they have given, you need to apply the decimal point after this very first number. Okay, if I will just put the decimal point after this very first number, after this the zeros are there. If you want to apply, that's fine. If you want to skip, it's up to you. Okay, because writing zero after the decimal point doesn't make like any importance in this way. So what we can do after that, in the form of multiplication of 10 and at the power of 10, you can write down the numbers. You can write down a number that is basically represented according to the zeros that they gave after this 4. Like how many zeros are there? 3 zeros. So you can represent 3 in this way. So what basically this number shows, that we have 4 times 10 raised to the power 3, and 10 raised to the power 3 means 3 zeros after 4. Okay, even if you are writing as 4 times 10 raised to the power 3, that is exactly fine. Okay, so whatsoever the thing you want to go with, either 4.0 times 10 raised to the power 3, or either just 4. Similarly, they gave us the part number 2. In this, they gave us just 500. Okay, if we want to write down 500 in standard form, so again, after the very first number, we will apply the decimal point. So this will be 5.0. And then we need to check that after this decimal point, how many numbers are there. Accordingly, you can write down the number in the form of power of 10. Similarly, if we will be talking about the third one part, we have been given as 70,000. Okay, so, okay, leaving this sign. So for 70,000, if I want to write this in the standard form, so I will be writing it as 7 times 10 raised to the power 4. Because after 7, how many zeros we have? 4 zeros. Similarly, 6 times 10 raised to the power 1. Okay, let's work out for fifth one. Okay, some similar numbers I will leave for you. You can try them yourself and then check that either you are able to find them out or not. Okay, so 2400, if you want to write this one in standard form, again you will apply the zero after the very first number. Like this is 2, so you will be writing this 2.4. Okay, because this time they gave us two significant numbers. So for these two significant numbers, you need to apply the decimal point after the first number. If I will apply the decimal point here after 4, that will be 24, and it's not coming in this range of 1 to 10. So that's why we need to apply the decimal point after the very first number. So this is becoming 2.4, and then you need to check again how many numbers have been given after this decimal point. Okay, not only zeros we need to count. Basically, wherever you are applying the decimal point, after that you will be checking how many numbers have been given after the decimal point. So there are 3 numbers, so you will be applying again 10 raised to the power 3. So similarly, they gave us part number 6, that is 380. So for this again, we will be applying the decimal point after the very first number. So this will be 3.8. And after this decimal point where we applied, we have 2 numbers. So we will be going on with 10 raised to the power 2. Okay. So for this 4.6 times 10 raised to the power 4, 4.6 but 10 raised to the power 0. Like here we said, sorry, 10 raised to the power 1. For the eighth one. Okay, this will be 4.6 times 10 raised to the power 1, because after decimal point there will be only one number left. Fine. This is exactly similar that I discussed with you. Try this one out. Okay, let's go on with the 10th one, as it's almost similar to the previous one, but let's work on this. We have 2560. If I will apply the decimal point after the very first number, the number will become 2.56. Like other than that of zeros, the number we have, we needs to write them down. Even if the zeros are coming in between the numbers, we needs to write them down as well. Okay, but ending zeros will not be included. So after that, in the power of 10, again, you will write down the numbers that are after this decimal point. So we have 3 numbers. So that's why 10 raised to the power 3 you will represent. Okay, so up till over here we have some larger numbers that we discussed. Even this 17th one is quite similar to these numbers that I discussed. So let's work on this as well. We have 5 6 4 0 0 0. Okay, so again, after the very first number, we will apply the decimal points, and this will be 5.64 times 10 raised to the power 5, because after decimal point, how many numbers we have? 5 numbers. Okay, so this is a very easier and the quick way to write down a number into a standard form. Hope so these questions are easier. Now, if we will be checking from question number 11 and onward, these numbers are basically the smaller numbers. Okay, if we have been given a number in 0.00 something, so these numbers are basically the smaller numbers. For these smaller numbers, we can represent the power as a negative power. Okay, for smaller numbers like 0.00, starting with 0.00, you need to write down the power as a negative power. Okay, so let's work on this one. Let's see how we can write these numbers into a standard form. As I told you earlier, that each time you will apply the decimal point after the very first significant number, and here you know that starting zeros are not significant. So the first number that we have is 7, and we will apply the decimal point after the 7. After 7 there isn't any number, so simply you can write 7, or even 7.0 is fine, and then you will apply 10 raised to the power, like in the power of 10. Now what you will do, basically the point that they give and the point that you have applied, in between how many numbers are coming, you will be checking it according to the power. Fine, like 3 numbers are being in between point to point, so you will be applying -3 here instead of +3, as this is a small number, and for smaller numbers I'm saying that you need to go on with negative power. So that's why -3 this will be. Okay. Let's work on with some more numbers. Like if we have 12, this is 0.0004. So again, decimal number will be after 4. That is basically the first significant number. And again, in between point to point, we have 4 numbers. So we will be applying -4. And this negative power, you will be only applying for the numbers, those who are starting with 0.00 something. Okay. Okay, next is part number 13, and in this part number 13, we have been given as a number as 0.0035. This time, the first significant number is 3 instead of 5, so we will be applying a decimal point here. So this will become 3.5. All the numbers instead of zeros, you need to write them down. So 3.5 will be the number, and in the form of power, again, you will be checking how many numbers are given in between point to point, like the point that you have applied and the point that they already been given. So accordingly, 3 numbers are there, but you need to apply -3 power in the decimal after the decimal point. Okay. So in this way, you can represent some very smaller numbers. Let's work on some other questions as well, as we have given as 14th part, and this is 0.421. Okay. So again, decimal point will be after 4. So this will be 4.21 and times raised to the power -1. Because from decimal point to decimal point, we have only one number. So -1 will be the power this time. And you can check all the numbers instead of zeros that are significant. I'm writing all of these, okay, after the decimal point even. So, okay, let's go on with 15th one. They have been given as 0.000055. Okay. So the decimal point will be after the first significant figure. So this will be 5.5. And in the power of 10, we will be applying the numbers that are in between point to point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So -5 will be the power because these are some smaller numbers. Okay. So 16th one will be also similar like this. We have 0.01. So for this 0.01, your decimal point will be after 1, so you can write as 10 raised to the power -2. In between, there will be 2 numbers, okay? For this number, as they gave us 19 million, so you know that in million we have 6 zeros, so we can write 19 million as simply 19 times 10 raised to the power 6. But 19 is not coming in the range that we want. Like basically the range for A is in between 1 to 10. But 10 basically is not included here. There is 10 is not been included, but 1 will be included. So as we don't want 19 over here, so what you can do is you can apply the decimal point here. Instead of 19, it will be 1.9, and instead of 10 power 6, it will be 10 power 7, because 1 0 will be like there will be 110 again, so 10 6 and 10 1 will be 10 raised to the power 7. So from 1 up to 18, we have done these parts, and in this we have done the basically the conversion of simple numbers into the standard form. So if these are okay, so going on with these numbers, these questions will be easier for you. So hope so this is clear a bit. So let's move on towards part number 19th. So what they're saying in part number 19, that the population of China is estimated at this. So we need to write this number into standard form. Okay, the part number 19th. They have given an estimated population that is basically 1,100,000,000. Okay. So we need to represent this number into standard form. Again, you can check, I'm just counting the zeros and directly I'm just checking how many zeros they have been given. But for these numbers, like for these bigger numbers, we need to, if we want to work it quickly, so what we will do, we will change it into a standard form. So again, the decimal point will be after this 1. So it will be 1.1 times 10 raised to the power. How many numbers have been given? 3, 3, 3, and 3, 9. So 10 raised to the power 9. Okay. So in this way, reading this number instead of this, reading this number will be easier. That how many zeros are after this 1. So this can be represented in standard form. quickly. So next part number 20th, they're saying the mass of a hydrogen atom is this. Now you can check how much difficult it is to read this number. Okay, it's a very small number, and this have been given in grams. So we need to represent this mass in standard form. So 20th part. So we need to be very careful for the zeros that they give. Let's see how many parts of threes they give. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, almost 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And for the eighth one, they gave 1 along with this. So along with this, we have been given as 6, 7. Okay, so to represent this number in standard form, after the decimal, after the first significant number, we need to apply the decimal point, and the first significant number is this 1. So we need to write it down as 1.67, as this is a very small number starting with 0.00 something. So we will be having a negative power. So let's see how many numbers have been given in between this and this decimal point that we applied. So 1, 3, 3, 6, 3, 9, okay? 312, 315, 3 5 times 15, 3 6 times will be 30. Oh, sorry. 3 6 time will be 18, and 3 7 times 21, and 3 8 times will be 24, but this will be negative 24. Okay, I have counted this one in between these decimal point to decimal point as well, like as we have written this one as well, but still we will count them according to this and this point because it's coming in this range. So we will count this as well. So negative 24 is, so reading this number is easier instead of this. So we will be dealing with this one very quickly. Okay, let's go on with 21st. If you can check it carefully, they're saying the area of the surface of the earth is this about, and we need to represent this in standard form as well. So let's see what kind. Okay, here you can write the grams as well. Okay. So we have 510,000,000 kilometers square. Okay, this is basically the area. That's why they gave us in square units. So we will again apply the decimal point after the 5. So it will be 5.1 times 10 raised to the power. Let's count the zeros, 3, 3, 6, and 7, 8. So we will be having 8, number 8 instead of negative 8, because the number is quite big that we have been given as 5 1 something, okay, not 0.0 something. Okay, this was 21st. Next, go on with 22nd. We have an atom that is having this diameter, and write this number in standard form. So this is the diameter of an atom, so that's why this is a very small number. Okay, so we have been given 3 sets of zeros. Along with that, we have 25. Okay, let's go on with this. So we have been given the first significant number as 2. So we will be writing it as 2.5. And in the power of 10, we need to represent a negative number. So 3, 3, 6, and 3, 9, and 1, 10, negative 10. Along with this, you can write this in centimeter as they gave us the unit. So units as well, you can represent side by side. So this is basically the number that we have got in 22nd. Next, in 23rd, what they're saying is that the number of the cells in a human body is estimated at this. Okay, this time they gave us the standard form already, and we need to write this in full form. Okay, these were the full forms that they gave previously, and we were writing them all in standard form. But instead of this, now they have given us a standard form, and we will be converting it into a simple form. Okay, let's go on with this. We have 23rd as 3.71 times 10 raised to the power 13. So as they have given us 10 power 13, and you can check after the decimal point, we have already two numbers. So counting these two numbers in this 13 as well, like you can skip these two numbers from this. So we will be only left with 11 numbers. So 11 zeros we will include. And when you will write down the 11 zeros, you need to remove this decimal point as this is 3, 7, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. So instead of 13, I wrote 11 zeros, just The reason is that we have already been given two numbers after the decimal point, and when you will write down the full form, you will not include the decimal point, okay? Because this is a simple number and this is basically a big number. For the only for the numbers when they gave us a negative power, we will represent the decimal point, and some other conditions are there if that we will get, so I will tell you. Okay, next, what they gave, they're saying in 24th that the speed of the light is this kilometers per second. You need to express this in centimeters per second in standard form. So first we need to do the for this, as they gave us a tip as well, that for kilometers to centimeter, first of all, if we will change kilometers into meters, it needs to go on with times by 1,000. And then to meters into centimeter, it needs to go with times by 100. It means that directly from kilometers to centimeter, we need to times a number by 100,000. Okay. So this will be now in centimeter if I will multiply this kilometer with this. Okay, so let's go on with this conversion. First of all, as they have given us the speed of light in kilometers, so we need to go on with the conversion. Okay, so the speed of light that they gave is 300,000 kilometers per second. So let's go on by changing that in centimeters first, and then we will change it into the standard form. So for that, 300,000 needs to be multiplied by 100,000. And now this will be changed in kilometers per second. Oh, sorry, centimeters per second, not kilometer. Centimeter per second. So now we will be multiplying first. So how many zeros we have? Two zeros, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now we need to represent this number in standard form. So after 3, we have the number of zeros directly we will represent. Okay, because only we have one significant number 3 over here. So 3, 3, 6, 3, 9, 3, 12, and 1, 13. And along with this, you will be writing centimeter per second. So we have represented a number into a standard form. This is basically 3 times 10 raised to the power 13. Okay, so in this way, some conversions as well you can do. Like this was not a very big number, but as we have multiplied it with 100,000 to change it from kilometers to centimeter per second. So that's why this number has become a very large number. So writing this in standard form, you can check that it basically it's really quick, and to read this number is also really easier one. So that's why we use basically the standard form. Hope so this exercise is clear. So let's move on towards the next exercise, that is the calculation that is related to the standard form. Like if we have been given the standard form, if we need to add or subtract the number, so how we will be going on with these kind of things. So let's work on this. This is your exercise 1.7b. And in this exercise from 1 up to 15, they're saying the given answers are in standard form. And you need to give your answer as well in standard form instead of writing them like some students used to do this in this way, that first changing the numbers into simple numbers like standard forms into standard simple numbers and then add or subtract. But we will just only go on with the standard form, and we will only convert the standard form into standard form rather than changing into the simple form. Okay, for this some rules you need to use, that if we have been given and two numbers that are being added or subtracted, we can't add or subtract a number unless we have the similar power of 10. This is the rule. If only we have similar power of 10, only we can add or subtract the numbers directly. Like as you can check in the first one, we have 10 power 4, we have 10 power 3 here. We can't add them. Like 8 and 2 we can't add directly, but if I will be having 10 power 4, 10 power 4 on both sides, I can directly add 8 and 2, and 10 power 4 you can write similar. Okay, but for multiplication and division the process is quite different. For multiplication and division, what you can do is, if we have some different powers of 10, you can go on by adding the powers. Okay, and for like numbers, you can simply deal with multiplication or division. And for the subtraction, if we have some powers of 10, you can just go on by subtraction of the powers. But in addition and subtraction, we can't do this thing. We need to just make the powers similar, and then only we can add or subtract the numbers. This is basically the rule. Okay. So let's work on with question number 1. So how we can make, first of all, the similar powers for the 10, and then we will be adding them. So changing the power of 10 is really easy. Like either you can convert this 10 power 3 as 10 power 4, or either you can convert this 10 power 4 into 10 power 3. So making this bigger power smaller is really easy. Like for example, if I have this 10 power 4, I can make it as 10 power 1 and 10 power 3. Okay, like 3 plus 1 will be again 4, so I can split this one in this way. So after splitting this in this way, this 10 and 8 can be multiplied. 8 10 times will be 80, and 10 power 3 as it is. And we can add this now directly because we have similar powers of 10. So 80 and 2 you can add. 80 plus 2 will be 82. And along with this 10 power 3 you can write directly. Okay. Like powers of 3, 10 you will not add, only you will add or subtract the numbers. Okay. Power of 10 you will write directly whatsoever we have been given or what we have made it into. So we will write them directly. Fine. So you can check like changing the power into some other numbers. It's not basically a difficult thing. So you can try this one. Now check the second part. In this, we need to again add the numbers. So let's try this one. We have 1.2 times 10 raised to the power 2, and we need to add in this 6 times 10 raised to the power negative 1. Okay, fine. So what we need to do, we can convert this, either this 10 power 2 into negative 1, or either we can convert this negative 1 into 10 power 2. Okay, if we have negative 1, what I needs to add in this to get 10 power 2? 3 we can add, so it will be 2. So other than that of this, for example, if you want to change this 10 power 2 into 10 power negative 1. So from this, what we need to subtract basically to get this negative 1. So we need to subtract 3. So it will be negative 1. So either you can add 3 in this, or either you can, like 10 power 3, you can add in this, or either you can just do that by changing this into the other power. So let's see what we can do. Here I'm going to change this negative 1 into positive 2. So for this, what I will do, let's see. Okay, so we have 10 raised to the power negative 1. What I can do to change this as 10 power negative 10 power 2, as I will multiply it with 10 power 3, and I will divide it by 10 power 3 as well. Okay, I have multiplied with 10 power 3, and I divided with the 10 power 3 as well. If we want to add some number on ourselves, so we need to add, we need to multiply as well, and we will divide as well at the same time. Okay, because if I will just cancel them out, there will be no effect on my question. So that's why I will do in this way. Now this 10 power 3, when I will add a negative 1, it will be positive 2, what I will get. But this 6 and 10 power 3 we can deal altogether. Okay, how we can deal, like we have 1.2 times 10 raised to power 2, we can just keep this one as it is, but this 6 and this 10 power 3 basically means is 1000. Okay, 10 power 3 basically means is 1000. So what I can do, I can simply divide this 6 by 10 power like this with this 1000, and this negative 1 and positive 3 will gives you 2. Okay, we got the similar powers of 10. Now what we can do is we can make this as decimal number like 0.006. If you know that if we have hundreds or thousand in denominator, so how we can change this, okay? Or 10 power 2 as well. Similarly, now what you can do is that you can add the numbers directly, like we have 1.2 and 0.006. We can add them both directly. So I'm getting 1.206 times 10 raised to the power 2. This is the number that I got. Okay, yeah, one more thing. Like when I added the number, I got 82, and they're saying you need to give your answer in standard form. And standard form, we need to give a number in between 1 to 10. So for this, after the decimal point, again, you can write this down as 8.2. And after writing 8.2, we will be having 110 and this 10 power 3 as it is. So 10 power 3 and 10 power 1, it will give you 10 power 4. Okay, so this can be also done. like just to give them the number in the standard form. But in the second part, we already got a number in the standard form, so you can leave this one up till over here. Okay. So these are the two parts. So again, for addition and subtraction, the rule is this, that you need to make your power of 10 similar. After making the power of 10 similar, then you can directly add or subtract the numbers and just keep the power of 10 similar. Okay, no need to do anything with the power. So hope so these two are clear. Next, for the third one, we needs to go with the subtraction. Okay, so let's go on. Similar rule for the subtraction is there, just the way we have done the addition, we will be going on with the subtraction. And this is also really easy. We have been given as 10 power 12 and 10 power 11. Again, 10 power 12 is easier to break it in 10 power 11, like 10 power 1 and 10 power 11. Okay, 11 plus 1 will gives you 12 again. Negative 1.4 times 10 power 11 as it is. So 6 times 10 will be 60 times 10 raised to the power 11. Negative 1.4 times 10 raised to the power 11. So as we got the similar powers of 11, 60 from 60 you can subtract this 1.4. Okay. So if from 60 I will subtract 1.4, basically it will be 58.6. Along with that, you can write 10 power 11 as it is. But as again, I got a big number 58 and I need to make it smaller. So I will apply the decimal point after 5. So it will be 5.86, and in between point to point, we have only one number. So 10 power 1. Along with this 10 power 11, you can write as it is. So just make it 10 power 12. 11 plus 1, 12. So now at the end, I gave the answer in the form of standard form. Okay. So hope so this is clear. Okay, so if you want, you can directly split a number into like this. We have 11, 12, so I made it in 1 and 11, so no need to multiply or divide. If you want to apply a number or you want to write a number yourself, then you will go on with multiplication as well as division. Okay, so next fourth one, we have 5.2 times 10 raised to the power negative 2. And from this, we need to subtract 2 times 10 raised to the power negative 4. Okay, like this is not the way that if I'm just splitting, like I'm just making 12 into 11. So this is only a way. You can make 11 into 12 as well. So that can be also one way. So any way we can use. Okay. So if you are just thinking that how we can change this 11 into 12, so you can try that as well. For that, you will multiply with 10 and divide with the 10 as well. Okay, so accordingly, you can check it. So let's go on with this, as I have this negative 2 and negative 4. So I can make this negative 4 into negative 2 and negative 2 easily. Okay, so I'm just going on with this. So 5.2 times 10 raised to the power negative 2. And here I have 10 power negative 2 and 10 power negative 2. Basically, 10 power negative 2 I will use for this one to make the power of 10 similar. But 1 negative 2, I will shift that. I will change this one into simple number. Like 10 power negative 2 I will use. But this 10 power negative 2 means 100 in the denominator, if you know this. Like if I have a negative power, like 10 power negative 2, I can make it positive after bringing that into the denominator. And this basically means 1 by 100. So that's the thing that I've done over here. So we have 5.2 times 10 raised to the power negative 2 in one number. And this 2 dividing with 100 can make it into 0.02. Okay. And 10 power negative 2 as it is. So now we have similar powers of 10. So we can simply subtract 5.2 and 0.02. So what this is giving me is 5.18 times 10 raised to the power negative 2. So in this way, we got a similar number. So in this way, addition and subtraction can be easier if you will just make your power similar, and then you can directly add or subtract a particular number. But just keep this in your mind that at the end again, if you are getting a bigger number, you need to still give your answer in a standard form. So that will be your correct answer. Okay. So third and fourth one we have done. Now from the fifth and onward, we have been given some numbers in the form of multiplication and division. So the rule for multiplication and division is different as compared to the addition and subtraction in a way. Like if they have been given a multiplication, like the question in the form of multiplication, so you need to add the powers. Even if the powers of 10 are not similar, but still you will add the powers. Okay. But for the division, you will subtract the powers. Okay. So let's work on with the fifth one. It's also easier one. Okay, fifth is 6 times 10 raised to the power 4 times 5 10 raised to the power 3. Here you can just directly multiply the numbers, like 6 you can times by 5, like this whole numbers, and 10 power 4 you can times by 10 power 3. I'm just showing you the numbers, how you can just directly multiply them. So 6 5 times gives you 30, and 10 power 4 and 3 you can just directly add by using the indices rule. Like if you have the similar bases, multiplication sign has been given, so you need to add the powers. So if we have 30 over here, along with that we have 10 power 7. So 30 you can make as 10 power 1, 3 times 10 power 1, and this 10 power 7 as it is. So 7 plus 1 will gives you 10 power 8. Like at the end, I converted this 30 into 3 just to give you an answer into a standard form. Okay, so you can check, it's really easy to work with multiplication as well. For the sixth part, they gave simple numbers, but we will just first convert them in standard form and then we will deal them accordingly. Okay, so we have 4 zeros along with that 7 and 400. Okay, so first let's just change them in standard form. We will be having, as we have a very small number, so power will be negative. After 7, we will apply the decimal point. So in between 3, 4, 5, 5 zero numbers are there. Okay, 3 zeros and 2 numbers along with this. So negative 5. And for this 4, we will be writing 4 times 10 raised to the power 2. Okay, so 7 and 4 will be directly multiplied, and 10 power negative 5 and negative 2 we need to deal accordingly, like this. 10 power negative 5 times 10 power negative 2. So 7 4 times will be 28. Along with that, these powers, you will be adding them together. Okay, where we have positive 2 here, okay? Yes. So 28 times 10 raised to the power negative 3. As we have 28, so just make it as standard form, writing as 2.8 and 10 power 1 along with that, because after decimal point only we have one number, and writing this 10 power negative 3 as it is. So negative 3 and positive 1 again you need to add, and it will be negative 2. Okay. So this is basically the answer in the standard form for the part number 6. Okay. Similarly, you can try part number 7. Again, this is according to the multiplication. So you can try how you will work on this one. And if still you have problem, you can just ask me in the comment section. Okay, next is the eighth one part. So in eighth one part, now they have given us the division instead of multiplication. So we have 8,000 dividing with 0.04. Okay. So for this, we can write it as 8 times 10 raised to the power 3. Like if I will write that into the standard form, and this will be 4 times 10 raised to the power negative 3. Okay, because the number is quite smaller. So if I need to go with the division, so what we will do, students, like we will divide the numbers, and along with this, we will just deal with the numbers as well with it. Oh, sorry, division will be deal with. So for the powers of 10, you will subtract the powers. So 4 2 times is 8. Along with this, these powers needs to be subtracted. As subtraction sign already been given, so one subtraction I need to use according to the division sign. That's why I'm using two subtraction signs. Okay, so 2 times 10 raised to the power 3 plus 3. So it will be 2 times 10 power 6. Okay, because at the end I need to give the answer in the standard form. So I will be going on with this number. Okay. Okay, so let's go on with the ninth one. Hope so the questions are getting clear. Ninth one is 0.002 power of 2. Okay, first it's good for you if you will change the number in standard form and then take the square, and you will see how easier this one is. Like if I will change it into the standard form, you will be writing it as 10 power negative 3. 2 times 10 raised to the power negative 3. Because if I will apply decimal point here in between point to point, we have three numbers and it's the smaller numbers. That's why I just represented as negative 3. Okay. And writing this 2 as it is. And this 2 means that taking the square of the number. Okay. So 2 square is basically 4. And this 10 power negative 3 and negative this 2 3 times will be 6 along with that negative sign. So you can check, it's really easy. Let's move on towards 10th one, and 10th one again is a multiplication question. So 1.5 times 10 raised to the power 2 we have 6 times 10 raised to the power negative 4. So numbers you need to multiply together and powers you need to add. So as we have 1.5, this you will multiply with the 6. And along with this, the powers you will deal separately. So if I will multiply 6 with 1.5, so in this way, I'm getting 9. And power just you can add. So we have 2, -4, and 2 -4 basically going to give you -2. 9 times 10 raised to the power -2. So hope so this 10th part as well is clear. So let's move towards part number 11. If you know that how to just convert the numbers into standard form, so addition and subtraction with the standard form will be really easy for you, okay? So first of all, you need to just have a good grip on the previous exercise that was 1.78, okay? Then this exercise will be more understandable. Okay, this time we need to deal with these two numbers division. So first I will change them in standard forms. Applying the decimal point here, it will be 3.3. And in between, we need to check how many numbers are there. 3, 4, 5. So we will be applying -5, okay? For this, we will be having 5 times 10 raised to the power 2. So the numbers we need to divide separately, like 3.3 dividing with 5. Along with this, we need to divide these numbers with the 10 power, okay? This is basically positive 2. So first of all, 3.3, you need to divide with the 5 and it's coming 0.66. And as we need to subtract the powers, so that's why I will apply negative sign with the 2 as well. So this will be -5, -2 will be -7. But this is not a number in standard form because this is less than 1. So we will be applying decimal point here after 6. So it will be 6.6. And as the number is starting from 0 point something, so the power will be -1 because in between point to point, we have only one number. So we will apply -1. Along with that, this -7 again you can write. And as we need to add the powers, if we have multiplication sign, so -7 and -1 will be -8. So this is the answer in standard form that we have got. Okay, next is part number 12. In this, we have 0.007 dividing with 20,000. Okay. First of all, again, we need to write this number in standard form. So 7 times 10 raised to the power -3 I will be having. And this will be 2 times 10 raised to the power 4. Because after 2, we have directly 4 zeros. Okay. So as division has been given, so 7 you need to divide by 2. Along with this, we need to divide the powers of 10 as well. Okay. Outside, you can use the multiplication sign. So after dividing 7 by 2, you can directly get 3.5. And the powers of 10, you can subtract. It's already in the form of standard form, so you can leave the answer in this way. Okay, 13th is almost similar to this ninth one, but we have been given fourth power. So let's see how we can go on with the fourth power. Again, it will be better if you will convert the number into standard form first and then dealing with the power. Okay, we have power 4. So if I will be having this one number in standard form, I need to apply the decimal point after 1. So it will be 1 times 10 raised to the power -4, as in between point to point we have 4 numbers and applying 4 outside. So 1 to any power, your answer will be 1 again. And this -4 and +4 for 4 times will be 16. It will be -16. Okay. Like if this is basically the rule of indices, if you remember, like if we have a number with a power and outside as well, they have given any power. So you need to directly multiply the power like 3 2 times 6. So this is the rule that I've used over here. So hope so this 13th part as well is clear. So let's move towards part number 14. In part number 14, basically they gave us the power again. So this is again the easier one. We have 2000 power 3. So if I will convert this into the standard form, this will be 2 times 10 raised to the power 3. Power 3 again. So 2 cube is basically 8. in this way as well. You can represent 2 cube will be 8 and 3 times will be 9. So this is already in the standard form, so you can leave it until here. Okay, next 15th part is we have 0.00592 dividing with 8,000. Okay. So if I will convert this in standard form after decimal point, like after applying the decimal point after the first significant number, the number will be 5.92 times 10 raised to the power negative 3 because the number is basically a really small number. And this will be 8 times 10 raised to the power positive 3. Okay. So what we need to do is to deal the numbers with the division in this way. 5.92 you needs to divide by 8 and this 10 raised to power negative 3 you needs to divide with 10 power 3. Okay. So first of all 5.92 you needs to divide it by 8. So this is coming 0.74. Along with this negative 3 and this will be also negative 3 because of the division sign. Okay, as we need to subtract the powers. So again, this is 0.74. So I need to give the answer in standard form. So I will apply the decimal point after 7. So it will be 7.4 times 10 raised to the power negative 1. Okay, so number is starting from 0 point something. So in between point to point, we have one number. So negative 1 and this will be negative 6. Negative, negative, positive. But sign will be negative. So 7.4 times 10 raised to the power negative 1 and negative 6. This will be negative 7. Okay, so this is part number 11, sorry, 15. So this is also clear to you. So these are your starting questions. Hope so these are clear up till 15. So if you want to have a good grip at this exercise, so you want to go on with these addition and subtraction quickly. So you need to have a good grip on 1.7a because that is the basic exercise. Because changing the number into standard form and writing the standard form into simple forms, both are the important things. So if just you will practice first of all that one perfectly, then this exercise will be more easier for you. Like the questions are looking like they're difficult a bit or they are long a bit, but they are not if you have a good grip. Okay. So maths is only about understanding and your practice. If you will just practice more and more, so your understanding will be also like more and more. Okay. So see you until the next lecture. Inshallah, from the next lecture, we will discuss the 16th question and onward. So until then, Allah Hafiz.